Hi children, welcome to the online classes. This is the second session of the lesson motion. So, the previous session has ended by discussing the topics distance and displacement. So, let us begin this session with the same topic. So, let us consider an example that you are traveling, that you want to travel from Hyderabad to Vijayawada. You want to travel from Hyderabad to Vijayawada. So, this is the location of the Hyderabad and so this is the location of Vijayawada. So, this is the road that you need to travel in order to reach your destination. So, this is the way, this is the path, this is the road that you have to follow. So, this is the path you have to taken in order to reach your destination, and hence the path, the length of this path, the length of the path taken by you is called as distance. Distance is the length of the path. So, this is the road, the length of the road will be equals to your distance. How much displacement is there? You have displaced from Hyderabad to Vijayawada, that means this blue line, your displacement is this much. So, what is displacement? The shortest distance between the initial and final points is called displacement. So, this is the only shortest way. The straight line joining the 2 points will be the shortest way. There is no any other shortest way than this. The straight line joining the 2 points is the only shortest way. Can you find any shortest way other than this? No. The shortest distance between the 2 points will be the line joining the 2 points, and hence this is the displacement. This is the display. How much displacement is there? This is the displacement. This is the displacement. Let us say, for example, the road length is 600 kilometers. The length of the road is 600 kilometers, and this one, and the displacement is 480 kilometers. How much distance you have traveled? From this example, if you reach to Vijayawada from Hyderabad, how much distance you have traveled? 600 kilometers of distance you have traveled. How much displacement is there? 480 displacement, 480 kilometers of displacement is there. By traveling 600 kilometers, you have achieved a displacement of 480 kilometers. You have achieved a displacement of 480 kilometers. So, displacement, distance is the length. Distance is the length of the path. Distance is the length of the path. Displacement is the shortest distance between initial and final positions. So, what was the initial position? Hyderabad. And what was the final position? Vijayawada. So, what is your direction? You are from Hyderabad. So, this is the initial point. Since it is the initial point, so this is the direction. Here length does not include any direction. For some, length is a physical quantity, mass is a physical quantity, time is a physical quantity, distance is a physical quantities. These are the physical quantities. So, speaking direction about some physical quantities will be meaningless. So, for example, I have 2 kgs of sugar is there. 2 kgs of sugar is there. What is the direction of this 2 kgs of sugar? It is meaningless. Speaking, so it is 2 kgs is nothing but mass. Speaking about the direction for some physical quantities is meaningless. For example, I had an object here. So, a force of some force is acting on this, 5 newtons of force is acting on this. For example, I have considered an object, and what I said is 5 newtons of force is acting on this object. 5 newtons of force is acting on this object. In which direction the force can be acted in this direction, or in this direction, or in this direction, or in this direction. So, there will be different directions. If you specify the direction of the force, more information will be included. You can study in depth more. So, some physical quantities, here the force, if direction is also included, more information is including, and hence some physical quantities will be specified with both magnitude and direction. So, here if I say the direction of the force also, then you will get a clear information about the force. Here speaking about the direction is meaningless. So, that is why the physical quantity, so mass is a physical quantity which has only magnitude, only it has. Magnitude means number with unit. 2 kgs is magnitude, 5 newtons is magnitude. So, what is meant by force? 5 newtons of force along positive x axis. You can say this force as F is equal to 5 newtons along positive x axis. So, here what happened? Direction is also included. You can speak the direction about the force. So, here 5 newtons of force is applied. 5 newtons of force is applied in which direction? Along positive x direction. So, speaking about direction is very important for some physical quantities. So, in this way the physical quantities which is having only magnitude, so here the mass is having only magnitude, so such physical quantities are called as scalar quantities, and the physical quantities which is having magnitude and direction are called as vector quantities, So, here displacement initial position to final position. So, it has some direction. This is the initial one, this is the final one. So, then what is the direction? So, this is the direction of the displacement. So, in the previous example, what we have taken the displacement as 480 kilometers. This is the magnitude. Magnitude means value, and it is having some direction. So, displacement is having magnitude and direction, and hence displacement is a vector quantity. So, if you do not understand this, again listen, again backward the video and again listen it once again. So, displacement is a vector quantity. Why displacement is a vector quantity? So, in order to get the displacement, first you need to know the initial point and final point. So, if you know the initial and final points, the line joining from initial to final will be in this direction, and this is the direction of the displacement. So, it is a vector quantity. Displacement is a vector quantity. What is a vector? A physical quantity having both magnitude and direction is called vector. So, what are the examples? Displacement is a vector quantity. Why? Because it is having magnitude and it is having direction. So, displacement. Velocity, we will learn about it later. Velocity, force, momentum. So, there are several examples are there, torque, so etc. So, these are the vector quantities. Displacement is a vector quantity. How can we denote a vector quantity? Here the same, a vector is represented by a directed line segment. Line segment means a line having a finite length, a fixed length is there, a ray infinite length. Okay, line segment means having some finite length, a fixed length is there, line segment. A vector can be represented as directed line segment. Line segment means line having a finite length. So this is the line segment, it is having some length. This is the line segment, it is having some length. And what is it, what I have written here, directed line segment. So this is the line segment and a direction was included in this line segment. That means if I represent like this, what is the direction? This is the direction and this is the directed line segment. This is a vector can be represented as a directed line segment and hence the displacement will be represented like this. Displacement will be represented like this diagrammatically. Displacement will be represented like a directed line segment. It is a line segment. It is a line segment and it is included with some direction. It is included with some direction. So, and length of this segment, it is a line segment. It is having some fixed direction. It is having some fixed direction. So, the length will be equal to the magnitude. The length of this line segment equal to the magnitude of the vector, magnitude of the displacement vector. So, this is about the concept of displacement and distance. So, distance is the length of the path travelled and it is a scalar quantity. Length is a scalar. So, speaking about the direction of the length will be meaningless. So, what is the direction of the length? For example, I had a pen here. So, what is its length? It may be 10 centimeters of length will be there. This pen is of length 10 centimeters. Then what is the direction? In which direction you will measure, the same of the length will be. So, the speaking about the length, speaking about the direction for length is meaningless and hence distance is a scalar quantity. Why? Because distance is the length of the path travelled, whereas displacement is the shortest distance between initial and final point, the shortest distance between initial and final point. If you know the initial and final points, definitely you will have some direction, you will know some direction and hence displacement is a vector and distance is a scalar. Distance is a scalar. What is a vector? Physical quantity which is having both magnitude and direction is called vector. What is a scalar? Physical quantity which is having only magnitude but no direction is called scalar. So, this is the information about distance and displacement. So, let us learn about another new concept. So, that is average speed and average velocity. Let us learn about average speed and average velocity. So, starting with average speed. Average speed. So, let us take the previous example. You are travelling from Hyderabad to Vijayawada and this is the road and the straight line joining the 2 points will be the displacement and the length of the road is 600 kilometers. The length of the road is 600 kilometers. So, the average speed will gives the distance travelled in unit time. The average speed will gives the distance travelled in unit time. I will explain it now. Average speed, the distance travelled in unit time is called average speed. Is called average speed. So, you can calculate the average speed as average speed is equal to total distance by total time taken. Average speed will be calculated with the formula total distance by total time taken. For example, what is the total distance you have travelled? 600 kilometers your distance travelled. 600 kilometers the length of this road. This is the road which is having several curves. What is its length? 600 kilometers is its length. So, let us consider to travel from Hyderabad to Vijayawada, you have taken 12 hours of time. So, to travel 600 kilometers, you have taken 12 hours of time. So, what was the total distance you have traveled? 600 kilometers the total distance you was traveled. And what is the time taken to travel that 600 kilometers? Is 12 hours. Let us take that example, just only we are considered as example. So, here 12 cancels 600 how many times? So, 12 5s are 60. So, again one more 0 is there, 50 kilometers per hour. 50 kilometers per hour. So, what is your average speed? Average speed is equal to 50 kilometers per hour. 50 kilometers per hour. What is its meaning? 50 kilometers per 1 hour. 50 kilometers per 1 hour. Here the distance travelled is 50 kilometers in 1 hour. What it is giving is the distance travelled in 1 hour. The distance travelled in 1 hour. 1 means unit. 1 means unit. Unit time means it can be 1 second, 1 minute, 1 hour. It can be anything. 1 week, 1 day can also be called as unit time. So, what the average speed is giving? The distance travelled in unit time. Average speed will give the distance travelled in unit time. So, the average speed is 50 kilometers per 1 hour. You are travelling a distance of 50 kilometers in 1 hour. You have travelled a distance of 50 kilometers in 1 hour in unit time. In 1 hour of time, you are travelling a distance of 50 kilometers. So, that is the average speed. Average speed will give the distance travelled in unit time. The distance travelled in unit time. And the important point is this average time you are travelling with a speed of average speed. This is the average speed. You may travel with different speeds. Up to here, you may travel with 30 kilometers per hour. Up to here, you may travel with 50 kilometers per hour. So, it is the average speed only. That means, in the 12 hours of time, the average speed is given. The average speed, it doesn't mean that you are travelled with 50 kilometers per hour. Throughout the distance, throughout the travelling of the distance, your speed is 50 kilometers per hour. It doesn't mean that. If your average speed is 50 kilometers per hour, it doesn't mean that you are travelling with the same 50 kilometers per hour. You are having different speeds. But on an average, your average speed is, so here 50, up to here 30 kilometers per hour. Up to here you have travelled with 50 kilometers per hour. Up to here, up to last point, you have travelled with, let us say, 70 kilometers per hour. So, what is the average? 30 plus 50 plus 70. 30 plus 50 plus 70 by 3. How can you calculate the average? Sum of observations by number of observations. Then you will get 50. So, your speed may be different through the travelling, but the average speed is 50 kilometers per hour. Okay. Let us consider average velocity. Average velocity. Average velocity. So, the average speed means the distance travelled in unit time. The displacement per unit time is called average velocity. The displacement per unit time. The displacement per unit time is called average velocity. So, average speed is total distance by total time taken, and average velocity is total displacement by total time taken. So, here let us take the same example. So, this is the path taken by you. What is the distance here? 600 kilometers. So, the displacement is 480 kilometers. Let us take this an example. How much displacement is there? 480 kilometers have displaced. You have travelled 600 kilometers and displaced to a distance of 480 kilometers, and your displacement is 480 kilometers. And what was the time taken? 12 hours of time was taken. So, let us calculate the average velocity. So, here displacement, what is the total displacement? The total displacement is equal to 480 kilometers. It is wrong way of denoting. The total displacement is not 480 kilometers, it is only magnitude. I have specified that displacement is a vector quantity, you need to denote the direction also. So, the correct way of representing the displacement is 480 kilometers towards east. So, this is the, take it as east direction towards east. This is the correct way of denoting the displacement. Why? Because displacement is having direction. If you want to, if I said just only 480 kilometers, then it does not mean it is a displacement. You are saying just only distance. If you are specifying the distance, displacement, definitely you have to mention the direction. Definitely you have to mention direction. The total displacement is 480 kilometers towards east. The total displacement is 480 kilometers towards east. So, the total displacement is 480 kilometers towards east by the total time taken is 12 hours. So, how many times it will cancel? 40. So, 40 kilometers per hour is your velocity. Average velocity is 40 kilometers per hour towards east. So, here towards east. So, here average velocity is also having some direction. Average velocity will also be in the direction of displacement. Average velocity will also be in the direction of displacement. Average velocity is also in the direction of displacement. Average velocity is also a vector quantity. Why? Because it is having magnitude and direction. Since it is related to a vector quantity, this is also a vector. Average velocity is also a vector. Average velocity is also a vector. So, this average speed and average velocity gives information about some particular interval of time. In a particular 12 hours gap of time, this is the average velocity, and in the previous one we have calculated average speed. It is giving information in some particular interval of time. In some particular interval of time, it is giving information. At exactly at this instant, at particular instant of time, your speed may be different, your speed may be varying, but on an average your speed is 40 kilometers per hour. On an average your velocity is 40 kilometers per hour. This average speed and average velocity will give information in a particular period of time only. At exactly, for example, so in the example what we have calculated, so this is the location of the Hyderabad and this is the location of Vijayawada. So, this is the road that you need to travel. So, what is the length of this road we have taken? 600 kilometers. And what is the time you have taken to travel? 12 hours. Then what is your speed? We have calculated that 50 kilometers per hour. This is your average speed. And the shortest possible distance between initial and final points is the straight line, and the displacement is in this direction towards east direction, and the value is 480 kilometers. So, in order to displace 480 kilometers, you have taken 12 hours of time. Then what is your average velocity we have calculated here? 40 kilometers per hour. 40 kilometers per hour. This average speed and average velocity will give the information for a particular period of time. What was the time? In 12 hours of time, you have travelled with an average speed of 50 kilometers per hour. But exactly at this position, what is your speed? It is not equal to 50, it may not be equal to the 50 kilometers per hour. This information is only for a particular period of time. It is the average. You are travelling with different speeds. But on an average, your speed is, this is the average speed only. This is the average speed only. For example, you have started from Hyderabad at 10 o'clock. Exactly at 10:30, what is your speed? That speed is called as instantaneous speed. It is not equal to, this is may not be equal to the 50 kilometers per hour. So exactly at particular instant of time, your speed will be different than average speed. So that speed will be called as instantaneous speed. Instantaneous speed. So what is meant by instantaneous speed? The speed of the object at particular instant of time. In a 12 hours of gap, you have travelled and with an average speed of 50 kilometers per hour. But this may not be equal to the speed exactly at 10:30. You are maybe travelling with 60 kilometers per hour at this time, and later due to traffic your speed maybe decreases to 40 kilometers per hour, and later again your speed was increased and it is 60 kilometers per hour. So in this way throughout the path your speed maybe varies, but on an average in a 12 hours of time you have travelled with an average speed. This is the average speed. It doesn't gives the exact information. So at particular instant of time your speed will be called as instantaneous speed. How can you, if you watch the speedometer of your vehicle, you can exactly get the instantaneous speed. So if at 10:30 if you watch the speedometer, the readings will be equal to the instantaneous speed. So at that instant of time you are travelling with 60 kilometers per hour. So what is the meaning of instantaneous speed? Instantaneous speed. Instantaneous speed, the speed of the object, at particular instant of time, is called as, instantaneous speed. So since the speed is related to the distance travelled, so you no need to specify the direction, whereas you learnt that average speed is related to the displacement. Average velocity is related to the displacement. Hence speed no need to indicate the diagram, no need to indicate the direction. For speed, for average speed or for instantaneous speed, you no need to discuss about the direction. Why? Because speed is related to the distance. So similar to the above definition, instantaneous velocity will also be there. Instantaneous velocity. So what is instantaneous velocity? The velocity of the object at particular instant of time is called as instantaneous velocity. The velocity of the object at particular instant of time, is called instantaneous velocity. So let us discuss about the direction of the instantaneous velocity. So let us discuss the same example. So you need to travel from Hyderabad to Vijayawada, and this is the path you need to take. This is the road you are traveling along. This road, this is the curved road. So the distance is, the length of the road is 600 kilometers of distance you must travel. So by traveling 600 kilometers of distance, how much you have displaced? This is the displaced. Displacement means the shortest distance between the 2 points. The straight line joining will be the only shortest possible way. So this is the 480 kilometers of displacement. You have traveled 600 kilometers and you are displaced to a distance of 480 kilometers. The displacement obtained is how much you are displaced, how much length you have displaced, 480 kilometers. How much you have traveled, 600 kilometers the traveled. So, if you want to know the direction of the instantaneous velocity, for instantaneous speed, you no need to discuss about the direction. Why? Because speed is a scalar quantity. It doesn't has any scalar quantities, doesn't has any direction. Whereas instantaneous velocity is a vector quantity. Velocity is a vector quantity. Then what is the direction of this vector quantity? If you want to know the direction at this vector, at this point, if you want to know the direction of velocity at this point, you need to draw a tangent to this curve. You need to draw a tangent to this curve. So, this tangent will represent the direction of velocity. This tangent will represent tangent. What is meant by tangent? The line which intersects the curve at single point. The line which intersects the curve at single point is called as tangent, and the tangent will gives the direction of the velocity. For example, if you want the direction of velocity at this point, you need to draw a tangent at this point. So, tangent means the line which intersects the curve at single point. So, the tangent, the direction of the velocity will be along the tangent drawn at that point. So, with this, the concept of speed and velocity is completed. In the next class, we will learn about acceleration and equations of motion. Thank you.